And America's godly heritage is under left-wing attack. That's our focus in tonight's preamble. First, it might be helpful to define some terms here. The United States was founded on a Judeo-Christian ethic. If something is based on the Judeo-Christian tradition, its source is the common foundations of Judaism and Christianity found in the Bible. Those principles inform the moral foundations and the governing foundations of our republic. To use their terminology, our enemies in the Democrat Party and their kook fringe base have dedicated themselves to bastardizing or destroying the foundational principles of the United States because, frankly, it gets in their way. It prevents them from asserting control over you and your family. One of the bases the left wing uses to launch their attacks on American society is the government-run schools. In a recent posting highlighted by Libs of TikTok, a self-identified queer teacher in GovEd came out against Florida's anti-sexual grooming bill.
I'm a queer teacher, and I 1000% do not support this bill. And yes, I do know what's in it. Kids as young as 3 and 4 are actually aware of their gender identity, even if they don't have the language for it. Also very aware of who they like and who they don't like. Heterosexuality is pushed on our kids on a daily basis at a very young age. Media, through books. The first Disney movie that you saw. To say that pre-K through 3rd grade are not ready for such topics is actually internalized homophobia and transphobia. We're very much ready for these topics and are way more accepting than adults when it comes to discussing these topics.
The pride of GovEd right there. Not only do they believe 3 and 4-year-olds are mature enough to discuss human sexuality, the GovEd queer teacher there says indoctrinating them at a young age is the point. You just heard this leftist explain that young minds are much more malleable and can be groomed to be open to homosexual relationships. Indeed, there was a reported incident of this style of indoctrination inside the great state of Texas. 4th grade teacher in Austin ISD reportedly claimed that 60% of her 4th grade class came out to her, not their parents, came out to her as being LGBTQ ABCDEFG. The statistical absurdity aside, this clearly demonstrates GovEd is being used to groom our children for sexual deviancy. Grade schoolers should not be instructed about sexual relationships by the state, regardless if those relationships are hetero or homosexual in nature. This is a clear undermining of parental authority as outlined in America's Judeo-Christian foundations. Another God-given right that is under attack from the left is our right of self-defense. The fake Catholic Joe Biden, a man who wants to force every Christian, Jew, and Muslim to fund the slaughter of children in the womb. This man is now coming after our guns, so-called ghost guns. The scary name given to these firearms is to take away from what these guns actually are. They're homemade firearms. It's been legal for people to create weapons at home to defend themselves since before America was even a country. Now Joe Biden, through an unconstitutional rule change, wants to deny you your rights. The lying and dishonest administration claims this is all being done to combat rising gun violence in blue cities. But the stats don't bear this out. A 2019 Justice Department study found that 43% of criminals purchased their weapons on the black market. But none of those criminals made their weapons at home. According to the Washington Times, in Chicago, only 139 out of 11,258 firearms seized were so-called ghost guns. That's roughly 1.2%. That number, however, represents a 93% increase from 2019, which saw only 72 ghost guns confiscated. In Philadelphia, meanwhile, police there in 2019 seized 95 ghost guns, accounting for about 2.2% of the 4,264 guns they confiscated. And in 2018, Philadelphia police confiscated just 13 ghost guns. The right of self-defense is a God-given right that our founders believe Joe Biden nor any of his socialists has the right to take from us. But if it's an attack on God's law, you can bet a left-winger is launching it. Recently, at the University of Buffalo, a black man, former Colonel and Congressman Allen West, was forced off of the university's campus by violent and un-American leftists under police escort. It seems the hate-filled liberals on the campus, with the full blessings of their racist faculty, thought, well, this was appropriate to prevent a black man from speaking. Colonel West commented on this on my podcast and radio show.
And the topic for this discussion was race and American exceptionalism. And obviously, I really upset the young black militant radical students up there and some white leftists. It was an embarrassment for them. It was an embarrassment for the University of Buffalo. I remember a time when black students had to be escorted on to college campuses, but now it appears that a black man has to be escorted off of a college campus by police escort because of these militant radicals who don't want to have a free exchange of ideas and thoughts and perspectives.
The hate that exists in the left-wing heart, where they would deny any American, but in this case, a black man, their ability to speak, that runs counter to our Judeo-Christian principles. In other words, the racism that is supported by students and faculty at the University of Buffalo is an affront to America's godly heritage. The foundation that inspired the American Revolution are as alive in the human heart today as they were in 1776. Those foundations are what led to a nation that was prosperous, powerful, and free. But above all that, our nation has been generous and willing to pass on the blessings of liberty onto those who are less fortunate in the world. Our American principles prompt us to give back and help those suffering under the yoke of communism, terrorism, and totalitarianism. That has made us unique, and I believe blessed, among the nations of the earth. Now, however, we're on the precipice of losing it all to a morally bankrupt, deviant minority who seeks to rob us of our birthright. From the pop culture to gov ed, we see the cancer they seek to spread. Former President Ronald Wilson Reagan was greatly committed to our nation's spiritual renewal. In his famous time of choosing speech, Reagan gave us a blueprint to begin to push back.
You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which they must not advance.
Thunderous applause there. This far, no further. Our nation, our Judeo-Christian ethic, our moral compass, it's all very important. The left has declared war on God and that moral compass because they want to worship, well, they want you to worship only government as they do. They don't want you adhering to the laws of God, which don't change with the political winds. They prefer the Soviet or Chinese style of religion, a fake religion that says everything is moral so long as it advances the control of the state over the people. Americans were never intended to live like this. In short, we are a people worth saving. So why don't you spread the word?